Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Boost! Peekaboo, I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available Christmas 2025 and a half BC, the album. Dad, shimmy, shimmy, and rock on, gold dust woman. Beast! How you guys doing today? Okay, so as I'm doing my intro today, which I almost didn't do for this video, but I thought, no, let's just keep it going. Let's just keep it going, how we usually do it over here. But I think that if I keep on doing these videos, these AITA videos, I might have to come up with a new intro just for those videos. So as I'm doing the intro today, I'm thinking to myself, there's probably people over here that are watching this video for the first time because it's an AITA video that are like, what is going on? So that's my intro. Okay, that's what I do at the beginning of all of my videos. Unless it's a very, very serious video. And I don't even know if this is going to be a very, very serious video because I haven't read this AITA Reddit thread post yet. So I don't know how serious it is. So, but usually in a very serious video, I started off with hello, hello, hello. And then we all know that it's going to be really, really serious over here. And then I put on a lip balm and some lip gloss so that my lips are prepared so I can do a lot of talking. Okay, so let me tell you how this whole video came to be. So today I am going to do my very ever first reaction to an AITA post on the Reddit thread AITA. And AITA stands for Am I the A-hole? Okay? And so let me tell you how I was introduced to all this. So I got a Cameo request, I think it was in July, and it was from Heather Mac Reacts. So hey Heather, how are you? I'm going to link her channel below because she's the one that's really inspired me to do these over here. And so she sent me just the sweetest Cameo request. If you guys don't know what Cameos are where you guys can like purchase little messages from me. I usually do like birthday messages, Christmas messages, holiday messages, bachelorette parties, just pep talks, questions, things like that, advice based on my personal experience, and things like that. I've even had people that have wanted me to do a message like on the day of their wedding and things like that. So it's really, really special, and I love doing them. But Heather reached out to me, and I hope she doesn't care that I share a little bit of this, but I will be very brief about it. So Heather reached out to me and was kind of asking me some questions about like how to navigate YouTube and things like that because I've been on it for 8 years, and so she was asking me some questions about all that. Very, very genuine, sweet questions. It was really, really nice. And so one of the things that she asked me was something to do specifically with her channel. So before I did the Cameo, I went over and I looked at her channel and I noticed that her entire channel is dedicated to doing these AITA videos. And I'm like, what are these AITA videos? Like, I've never heard of this before, right? And so I like just hit on one, and like every single one of her videos is an AITA video. And so I hit on one and I was like mesmerized, absolutely mesmerized. I had no clue. So there is a Reddit thread. I have it already pulled up, so I don't know if I can see how many members it has on here. Hold on a second if it'll say, because I have it at the top. No, because I don't really want to get out of this. Hold on just a second. It has currently 19,529,572 potential assholes is what it says on here, okay? So anyway, okay, now I have to get out of here so I can get back into the Reddit thread that I picked for today. So I started watching a bunch of her videos, and I just absolutely fell in love. First of all, she's got such a great personality for this. She's so fun to watch, and she's hilarious when she covers these stories, or serious if it's needed to be. So anyway, she'll pick a couple posts, and she'll read them. And so the whole idea of AITA, Am I the Asshole, is that it's these posts that people write in there, and so they'll tell stories, and like I made an example of one in my video yesterday, where the example will be something like, this is the example I use, although they're a lot longer than this typically. The example will be something like, so my sister and her boyfriend have dated since they were like 12 years old, and they're 30 now, and they're getting married, and they have always been just, you know, together and monogamous and whatever. And I am my sister's maid of honor, and my sister is my best friend, and on and on and on. And the night before, you know, my sister's wedding, her fiance came to me and said, you know, like, I've never slept with another woman. Do you think that I could sleep with you because you're her sister? So, you know, whatever. And I did. Does that make me the asshole? Okay. So it's like things like that, right? But some of them go real dark. Some of them go really, really dark. Some of them, they're either hilarious or dark, or they're just kind of like in the middle, kind of like, what did I just read, right? Okay, so I watched a bunch of Heather's videos, and then I searched out, because I was like, are there other people that are doing this too? There's like tons of people that are doing this, okay? And so, I mean, there are some AITA videos that are getting like millions of views, and they're all like, what's so interesting about it when you start watching all these people do it is that I've literally watched like 3 people do the same like Reddit post, and their take is completely different. So it really never gets boring. And I am just like, I've completely fallen down the rabbit hole. For those of you that don't watch my channel regularly, you don't know, my social media consumption these days really gravitates towards rescue dogs, rescue squirrels, and now AITA videos. And so that's kind of what, and old episodes of talk shows. Old episodes of talk shows is what I've been watching lately too. So I've kind of fallen down the rabbit hole with this, and you know, it's very similar to me. The only way I can explain this is it's very kind of similar to me, like ASMR, which I call ASMR. And I know people will be like, it's not called ASMR. I know it's not called ASMR, but that's what I call it, ASMR. So anyway, it's kind of very similar to ASMR in that, that if you've like never done it before, it's kind of scary to try it because, there's all these people that are doing it, and they're doing it regularly, right? And so, like, if you're doing it as something new, it's kind of like, I'm kind of a little intimidated, to be honest with you, to do this today. And so, I think it was like, I just looked up the email. In the middle of July, I reached out to Heather after, like, I did her Cameo and stuff like that, and she was very, very nice. Her response to me was, like, so sweet and so glowing and all this kind of stuff. And she was like, no, I didn't squeal when I just opened your email and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, but I asked her for some suggestions on what to do as far as like, you know, how to go about this if I wanted to do one. And she gave me great advice, and she gave me several Reddit threads that she reads and picks from, and she just kind of told me how she did it. But having watched her videos, I kind of knew what she did. And this is typically what everybody does. So everybody kind of, well, they usually put it in the screen, so I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. I might. But I kind of interrupt myself so much when I'm doing receipts in my videos that I might not do that. So what they do is they pick like 1 or 2 stories. Usually most people do like 2 stories within a video. I'm so long-winded that I'll probably pick 1 story to start with today, and it's kind of a long one, and then we'll see how this goes. If you guys enjoy this, then I will continue to do it. I'll even come up with my own intro for the AITA videos. But anyway, so what they do is they read the Reddit post, and then they kind of respond to it, and then they read some of the comments. Sometimes the comments are actually funnier than the post, and sometimes, like, and you can't really tell if it's fake or if it's not fake, because sometimes, like, there was this one that I was reading about this girl, and if you guys read the AITA, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a really famous post, and it was like this girl with these bananas, and then she was like just like dragging her boyfriend, you know, over the coals and stuff like that, and then he responded on the post, and people were like, is this real? Is this like really her boyfriend? But it was too funny that you couldn't stop reading it. So anyway, the one I picked today, so I went in and I actually Google searched like the funniest AITA ones or the best AITA ones. And then I actually looked up a couple articles. There's like articles written on major, you know, magazines about this post, you know, this specific post. And so they had it listed like the funniest, the darkest, the most serious, the saddest, things like that. And so I tried to pick one that like had a lot of traction on it. And so the one that I picked for today, it's actually a year old, and it is called, Am I the Asshole for Giving? And usually in videos, people don't say asshole. But I have now put about $2 in the cuss jar, so I'll try to say a-hole. But anyway, they usually say a-hole or something like that, or AITA. AITA is so much like ASMR to me that, should we just call it AITA? I'm just going to call it AITA, okay? So I'm calling it, does anybody else call it AITA? I call ASMR ASMR, and I'm calling AITA ADA. AITA? I'm calling it AITA, okay. So it says on here, am I the asshole for giving my SAHM, which is stay-at-home mom, wife, a written performance review with suggested areas needing improvement? Okay, now part of the reason why, and I have not read this one yet, okay, I just want to make that very, very clear. A lot of times when they respond to them, they've already read them. But I was like, I want to go into this cold. I want to, like, have no idea what I'm about to do when I'm, like, reading this, so I'm going to go into this. But one of the reasons why I wanted to do my intro in this was because I wanted to have the lip gloss and I wanted to have my fan, because I think that it's going to come in. It's going to be very apropos, okay, for this video when I have to put on some lip gloss or flip my fan at certain apropos moments. Okay, so let's get into this. It says on here, everyone sucks. All right. I, a 33-year-old man, share one child who is a 6-year-old female with my wife, who is a 36-year-old female. She has another daughter who is a 13-year-old female that lives with us full-time. We also have custody of our niece, who is a 15-year-old female. The teens are each other's best friends. They share a large bedroom, which was done at their request. The dynamic here is pretty much mom and youngest against the teens, with me being the referee between everyone. Okay. Now, like I said, these are long, all right? So just buckle yourselves in. My wife has taught the youngest she can blame others for her actions to avoid consequences. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. She just says the word, one of the teens will get punished without question. Oh, you are causing major family trauma down the road. I'm just going to tell you that. There's no doubt she is my wife's favorite. You know what's interesting about this is I've had so many friends of mine that have 3 and 4 kids, and I'll ask them, you know, at times I'll be like, do you have a favorite? And their first response is always like, no, of course I don't have a favorite. And then like, you know, after many conversations later, they'll be like, well, I actually kind of do have a favorite, but it's not who they think it is. And it's always for some like bizarre reason. Like they remind them of something that they were like when they were like 6 years old or something like that. But parents have their favorites. Don't act like you don't. And I'm an only child and I don't have kids, so I can say that. Because I was the favorite and I don't have a favorite, so I can say that. There's no doubt she is my wife's favorite. I love her, but she's becoming nothing more than an entitled brat. You think? I mean, you think? Why wouldn't she? As just a mere example, my wife and I had an appointment we both needed to attend. When we came back, it was apparent the pool had been used. They're not allowed to swim while we aren't home. Okay, because that could be dangerous with kids that small, yeah. As the youngest divulged, Mommy, I was in my room coloring. I never went swimming. The teens said that was not true. She had gone swimming as well. Only the teens were punished. My wife refused to give the youngest any type of consequence. I later found her wet swimming suit hidden in the garage. Who are you not a parent in here as well? My wife and I argued. I felt strongly she needed to not only be punished for swimming, but also for lying. More for lying than for swimming. Oh my God, I am like so falling down the rabbit hole of sister wives and the way that they like discipline these kids. It's more about the lying than it is about the actions. So yes, I agree with that. After a relentless disagreement, I was silenced as she gave the youngest a very minimal consequence. The lying, blaming, and favoritism ultimately caused the teens to act out, understandably. Most of their consequences are done by giving more chores, specifically the chores a 6-year-old has. Or as recent, well, what were the chores of a 6-year-old? I mean, 6-year-olds kind of, I mean, what are they doing? Are they like doing dishes? Are they just clearing a table? Are they vacuuming the house? I mean, depending on the chores, I mean, a 6-year-old can only do so much, right? Or as recent, they were removed from music lessons as a consequence. Girl, I'm telling you right now, if my mother had said when I was growing up as a kid, well, we're going to have to remove you from, your consequence is no music lessons from you. I'd have been like, okay, what's your point? So anyway, all right. So that was their consequence. Hold on a second. Or as recent, they were removed from music lessons as consequence. I believe they're so frustrated they don't even care when they verbally attack their mother. I wouldn't either. After their unfair treatment towards them. After all, they already get blamed and punished for things they don't even do. From my perspective, lashing out gives them a release. Well, it's also this, right? Is that, like, when you're blamed over and over and over and over again for doing something that you're not doing, then at some point you're going to be like, F it. I'm just going to do it anyway. I think we can all relate to that, right? Like, I mean, when you're blamed for so many things, and you never did it to begin with, it's kind of like, okay, well, if I'm going to get blamed for this, then I might as well be getting some fun out of it. You know what I mean? And that's probably what the teens are thinking. They're probably like, screw it. If you can't beat them, join them. Okay. We've had countless tiring arguments. She'd either not see her faults or we'd agree to do this and that. But it was never actually done. I decided to write her a performance review as a stay-at-home mom. Her areas in need of improvement, well, it was a lot. But I touched on how she... I don't know why this is cracking me up so much. I mean, I have so many friends of mine that are stay-at-home moms. I have a few friends of mine that are stay-at-home dads. I had a stay-at-home mom until I was, like, in middle school. I'm incredibly thankful for my stay-at-home mom. It was great coming home, too. I think we live in a time today where most parents can't be stay-at-home moms. It's kind of a luxury to some degree, and I think that it's awesome if you can. I think it's really a great thing, you know? And I think, like, when my mom went back to work, it really made her sad because she was like, I just want to be at home for you when you come home from school and things like that, right? And she also kind of liked to sleep in a little bit. I mean, she would get up most days if I was there, and then, but she, like, when I went to school and stuff like that, she told me later she went back to bed. So I think she liked to sleep in a little bit. That was part of wanting to be a stay-at-home mom, you know? But I do think that one thing about this is, and I say this a lot, that teachers and parents are two of the most underappreciated careers in our world, period, hands down, right? And I feel like I know so many couples where their parenting or their lack of parenting or their lack of agreeing, and like I said, I'm not a parent, so this is just an outsider's point of view, but I'm telling you like from friends of mine, that I feel like they allow their parenting or lack of parenting, they'll take it to their best friend and be like, I'm so frustrated with my husband or I'm so frustrated with my wife, but they won't take it to that other person, right? And then it causes marital problems, you know? Now, I will tell you, one of the reasons why I'm loving making this video is I never get involved in those conversations. You know, when my friends are like, well, what would you do? I'm like, well, I mean, I don't have kids, okay? And that was a choice so that my husband and I can travel and I can stay up late and watch Sister Wives. So that was a choice that I made. But anyway, you made a different choice, and that's great that you made a different choice, okay? But don't put me in the middle of you and your husband. I've learned that lesson before. Okay. So here we are at the performance review. I decided to write a performance review. But first of all, this is what I was going to say, was I can just imagine my friends, like, if their husbands or wives handed them a performance review, that would not go over well at all. I'm just telling you right now. Like, I mean, I can imagine wanting to do it. I'm sure that my husband's wanted to give me a performance review before, and I'm sure there's a few things I could put on his. But, I mean, just the idea of that, first of all, is so belittling. And, I mean, there has to be other ways to have this conversation, don't you think? Okay. Her areas in need of improvement, well, it was a lot. But I touched on how she needs to listen better, stop being biased, be fair in all her decisions, stop making rash decisions without taking all three kids into consideration. I recommend her to give each child the same amount of one-on-one alone time to speak or just be with one another. So it wouldn't be an entirely slap to her face. I gave her accolades on her gold stars. She gave her gold stars, girl. What, for recess? Okay. For other areas aside from parenting, I guess I felt this would work best because I could organize my thoughts on paper without her interjecting. Now, I think that's great. Okay, maybe not a performance review, but maybe like a letter. Maybe like a letter, like prefacing it by like, I love you so much, but these are the issues that I have because we can't talk about this. Also, I would recommend marriage counseling. My husband and I have been marriage counseling for a long time, and we're in it now. And I explain this in videos because some people don't get it. They're like, why are you still in marriage counseling? So we started marriage counseling because we were headed for divorce. And I'm very transparent about this on videos. If you watch any of my videos, you know I talk a lot about me being an individual therapy. I've also been sober since December 17th of 1994. I'm very active in a 12-step program. It's not the only way to get sober. There's many ways to get sober, but that's how I stay sober. And we are also in marriage counseling. When we first went to marriage counseling, we went to marriage counseling because we were headed for divorce. And we decided that we were going to give it our all for a year. That was, I think, 7 or 8 years ago, and we're still here. The reason why we continue to go to marriage counseling is much like, and I explain it this way, and some people get it and some people don't, okay? But the reason why we continue to go to marriage counseling is much like how music artists like Stevie Nicks, Mariah Carey, people like that, Whitney Houston had one, they have vocal coaches for much of their singing career, even though they're professional singers that can sing off the charts. It's because they want to be the best singer possible. And that's why we remain in marriage counseling today, because we want to have the best relationship that we possibly can. Sunday, we will have been together 16 years, and we will have been married for 13 years. So obviously, it's paying off a little bit. But anyway, I would recommend marriage counseling or individual counseling to anybody out there. So they might have wanted to maybe try that before the performance review. I don't know. Okay, I guess I felt this would work best because I could organize my thoughts on paper without her interjecting. However, it quickly backfired in my face. She was quiet the first hour after I handed it to her. I bet she was. Then she completely exploded on me. Said if we're going to do this type of shit, she'll get a private bank account and take half my paycheck every week. Oh, well, okay, that's not a performance review, sweetie, because if you're getting a performance review, then you're getting paid, okay? Then that's what we've now incorporated, okay? She further said the review was abusive and manipulative and sexist move. Am I the asshole? Okay, before I even get into the comments, I just want to kind of say a couple things about this. What's interesting to me about just hearing this story, okay, this is going to get a little serious, actually. I thought this was going to be, like, real funny, ha, ha, ha. But I guess you're going to make me get a little serious today. Okay, so the first thing I will say is, I watch a lot of true crime. Okay, the second thing I will say is I have a true crime book club. No, but I like watch so many TV shows and watch a lot of true crime and read a lot about family systems and things like that. The fact that she is more favorable to the youngest and not to the older ones, there could be many reasons for that. It could be that that's her last one and she knows that, and so she's giving her all this attention because she's like, this is the baby of the family and I'm never going to have another baby. That could be that. It could be the fact that maybe she feels some guilt or remorse over, I don't know, something to do with this youngest child. Who knows, right? It could also be that, you know, she might have some resentment or something associated with the older children or the niece or whatever. I don't know, right? But there seems to be something, okay? But like I said, I think most parents, if they were honest, probably have maybe not a favorite, but a child that they gravitate towards. A child that they just maybe seem to connect with a little bit more than some of their other children. I think that's just natural in life with people, right? So it's not a diss to your children. Now, of course, you wouldn't tell your children that, like, oh, well, I have a better connection with your sister, you know? Like, I just watched this movie, Sharp Objects. It was the based on the book by Gillian Flynn. Did you guys, have you, the one that wrote Gone Girl? Is it Gillian Flynn? Or I think it's Gillian Flynn. But anyway, there's a part at the very end of the movie when Amy Adams, who's one of my favorite actresses of life, she looks at her mother, and her mother goes, you know, I really owe you an apology. And she says something to her, and she says something about her being like her dad. And she goes, and that's why I never loved you. And she looks at her like, you never loved me. Like, you don't tell your kids those things, right? Like, that's abusive, okay? So going into this, I think there might have been better ways to approach this other than going and giving a performance review. Like tomorrow, if my husband wrote me a performance review and said, these are the things that you need to improve, I would wad it into a ball. I would take it. Well, actually, today what I would do is I would save it, and then I would wait till we were in marriage counseling. I'd say, so my husband brought me this performance review. I think we need to discuss this today. First of all, my husband wouldn't do that. But let's just say if he did, okay? And let's just say if I wasn't in marriage counseling, I would wad that up so quick and toss it at him and say, let me give you a performance review, okay? Approach me with a conversation. But what he's saying is, I've tried to have these conversations with her and she won't listen. I've tried to sit down and have rational conversations with her. She won't listen. She's taking the side of this kid. I'm being put in the middle, blah, 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 blah. This is not. So now your marriage is being affected by your parenting. This is a very appropriate time to probably enter some marriage counseling, or at least even think about it, okay? Maybe even just go to the half-price books and buy the book, The 5 Love Languages. I don't know, okay? But these are the kind of things that we don't ever want to talk about that break up marriages. This is where resentment grows. And as a person in recovery, one of the things that we say about resentments is that resentments are unfulfilled expectations. So it's when you expect somebody to react or respond a certain way, and then they don't, that over time it turns into, you know, a resentment, a grudge that you hold on to for a long time. His expectation is that he thinks that his wife is going to parent a certain way, or that she's going to treat all children equally and things like that. And so now he has a resentment towards her. Once you have a resentment built, it's kind of hard to unwind that resentment. It's going to kind of stay there forever. And then you're talking about it's affecting not just date night, but intimacy. And there are 12 points of intimacy, okay? It isn't just physical intimacy, you know? There's spiritual intimacy, there's relationship intimacy, there is financial intimacy, which now she's brought into it by saying, I'm going to get a different bank account, okay? There's family intimacy, there's all different kinds of intimacy. And one of the things that we learned in marriage counseling is that, like, physical intimacy is the thing that we focus on a lot. Like, are they doing it in the bedroom kind of thing, right? But that's only one part of the 12 points of intimacy. And one of the things that we were taught is that once you're hitting all those buttons on the 12 points, your relationship improves. What's obvious to me here, okay, is that they have very few buttons on their 12 points of intimacy touched, okay? They don't even have one or two of them. And now, as a reaction to his performance review, she is punishing him by saying, okay, well, if you're going to do this to me, then I'm going to get my own bank account. This is what we're seeing in real time here is a dissolution of a marriage over different parenting styles, all right? Which is probably why those discussions need to be had before you get married. By the way, I was watching Welcome to Plathville, and Ethan and Olivia get divorced they just got divorced last week on Welcome to Plathville. And he seems mesmerized about the fact that she doesn't want to get back together when he told her that he would never raise kids with her because their belief systems are so different. These are the kind of things that people should probably have conversations about before they ever decide to have a child, okay? I'm just saying, right? Like, you know, people say to my husband and all the time when we do like couple Q&As, they'll say, you guys are such great dads, you guys are such great dads. Well, those are a lot of the conversations that we had, you know, back in the day. Well, neither one of us really wanted to have kids, but I have said this many times in videos that if I was going to be a dad, if I was going to be a parent, the things that would matter to me would be living in neighborhoods where there are a lot of kids so they could have friends, being very involved in the school system and the PTA and things like that, you know, and being very involved in whether they were in sports or arts or whatever they are, and being very involved in all of that, right? And those are things that are important to me because I've seen those things things be successful with other kids and parenting, right? Being very involved. You know, most of my friends and, you know, things like that, like they get up at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning and they don't come home until 8 o'clock at night from like games for all their kids or dance recital or painting class or whatever. And that was not what I wanted my life to be, okay? So I think it's grand that y'all built this big room for all the teenagers to share together, like an apartment. That to me, I think people need their privacy. That's just my thing about it. But interestingly enough, you guys were able to come to terms on that conversation, but the rest of it you have an issue with. So to me, my first thing would be maybe try some marriage counseling. I think that, is it manipulative? I don't think it's manipulative from his point of view because I feel like he probably didn't think that he had any more options. Do I think that it's sexist? I think that it could be perceived that it was sexist from a wife receiving a performance review from her husband. Absolutely. I think it's sexist. But if we were talking about a same-sex marriage, okay, and these were two lesbians or two gay men that were having kids and one gave a performance review, then no, I wouldn't think it was sexist. So I don't know about all that. What I do think is it's patronizing and it's condescending, okay, to call it a performance review. Instead of just, I wrote my wife a letter. I would feel completely differently about this if he said, I wrote my wife a letter and I have some concerns about this issue. That this is what I really think about this and blah, 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 whatever. And like, we're not able to talk about this, so I wanted to write my thoughts down so that you could read it whenever you wanted to. But calling it a performance review, basically implying that she's fulfilling a job that he's hiring her for and that he's her employer. Yeah, I do think that that's kind of patronizing and I think it's rather condescending. So I would take issue with that, honestly. But let's see what the comments say. So it says on here, I offer the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. So the explanation is, I gave my stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home mother, wife, a performance review solely based on her parenting efforts, or lack thereof. I felt this would be an efficient way to organize my thoughts. Okay, so we already read all this. So let's see what people say about this. The concerns you have are legitimate, and it needs an urgent solution, but the way you went about it is really unhealthy. I agree. The parenting of your children is not a project. Amen. You are not her boss. You are her husband and the father of her kid. Exactly what I said. Give her a performance review comes across as really condescending. Oh my God. And as she said, manipulative. I agree. Somebody said, I agree with what you've said, but it's not the first thing he went to. But they didn't try marriage counseling. Like, this is the thing for me, and they have all these kids, and there's, you know, you can find marriage counseling on a sliding fee scale and things like that. So even just to maybe like go to somebody else and bring a third party in, I don't know. Like for me, if you aren't willing to try any other options, that could be, to some couple, a performance review could be the beginning of the end, right? So that seems like a pretty serious tactic to me, to maybe not try some other things first. Okay, this person said, I agree with what you said, but it's not the first thing he went to. It seems like this was at my wit's end. Something has, oh my God, I just watched that true crime documentary, At Wit's End. I'm going to do my review of that on my Peter Watches TV channel. At my wit's end, something has to change. She refuses to listen to anything I say. Point. They need counseling. Right there. Mom is doing the youngest absolutely no favors and hurting the other girls in the process, and dad doesn't seem to be taken seriously, like he's not one of the parents. Shitty way to handle it? Absolutely, but hopefully it opens the door to better communication and co-parenting. Just because mom is a stay-at-home mom doesn't mean that dad doesn't get a say in how the kids are raised. 100%. Someone said the performance review was his last attempt at speaking to her about it, though. But you didn't need to call it a performance review, and you didn't say that you had written her previous letters, right? Like, there was no mention of previous letters that had been written. Like, I'm just writing my wife a letter. So, I don't know. The performance review was his last attempt at speaking to her about it, though. It sounds like he's attempted several times to discuss with her his concerns, but it always turns into a fight. Writing things down is a great way to relay one's thoughts and clearly and precisely. What you're seeing is desperation, not manipulation. Well, that could be true, but I feel like calling it a performance review is kind of like what makes you the asshole, if you want to know the truth. I don't know if it's the desperation part that makes you the asshole. I think the desperation is calling it a performance review. I think anybody would be offended by that, you know what I mean? I think even a child would be offended if a parent gave them that, you know? I mean, back in the day, when I got performance reviews, I did not love those. I didn't love sitting in them. I wasn't excited about them. And they were usually glowing, but I didn't love them, you know what I mean? So I don't think anybody likes that. Somebody says, how many times does he have to bring it up to her? She dismisses it. This sounds like it was the straw that broke the camel's back. Sounds like one person is doing the actual parenting and the other is letting the youngest run rampant. Interesting that you say that, though, because I bet from her point of view, she would say, I'm doing all the parenting, and he just sits around and complains about it. I bet that would probably be her point of view. This is going to stop in a second, so hold on a second. The battery stops at 30 minutes. If you're new over here, I'm just explaining that to you. Some people will be like, what did he just do? I'm confused. Okay. The battery on my camera stops at 30 minutes, so I have to stop it. All right. Someone says, acting like he has no control over how his child is raised and punished is sending me. Someone said, I always have been involved with every aspect of parenting, including consequences. Any punishment? I don't know what that... Okay, that's not about that. Okay, here's another comment. I don't know. I'm leaning towards... I don't know, YTA. I'm wondering if we're getting an unbiased version of events about the parenting issues. For example, the pool thing. Why would you hold a 6-year-old equally responsible to their teenage siblings? Why does it matter what the 6-year-old claimed? Well, okay. Why does it matter if the 6-year-old went away? If the 6-year-old went swimming alone, the teenage babysitter should be punished for allowing it. I agree with that. If they all went swimming, a 6-year-old was following the example of their much older siblings. But, okay, then you're teaching her that it's okay to lie, right? Like, that's the issue. I'm not saying you can't punish your kids for lying. Oh, wait, but when it comes to pool safety, it makes sense to be quite harsh with the teenagers who allowed a child in the pool. But she hadn't punished the 6-year-old about lying. After he had to say something before she did that. Some of you are saying the 6-year-old might have egged on the teenagers, which is just ridiculous. Well, I haven't seen that comment yet, so I don't know. A poorly supervised 6-year-old is going to try to do all sorts of dumb and dangerous shit. Agreed. Punishing themselves severely isn't going to fix the issue. I agree with that about the swimming issue. The lying is a different thing. They need proper supervision. Also, what do y'all want? For the kid to be punished for lying before parents knew she lied? The older kids were punished initially because someone went swimming and they were in charge. The younger was punished for lying after it was proved that she lied. Oh, okay. That's true. Original poster never said equally responsible. If the 6-year-old knows not to go to the pool, which she clearly does because she took the effort to hide her suit. Oh, well, that's a good point. She should have some sort of age-appropriate consequences. Obviously, she doesn't shoulder the same blame as the other girls. Okay. Someone said, exactly, all I'm hearing and seeing is people not able to hold a crappy parent accountable for being a crappy parent. Only one. Yeah, well, I agree with that, you know. Okay, this goes on and on and on about the 6-year-old swimming. So let's get to the next comment and see what some other going on about her lying and then just, oh my lord. The 6-year-old knew the rules not to swim! Shit! And all that shit. She hid her bathing suit and lied because she was 6 years old, okay? I mean, come on now, right? I don't know. She should be listening better, but seriously, a performance review? What kind of reaction did you expect? You're treating her like a temporary worker, not your partner. That was unbelievably condescending. You seem to have a you versus me mentality instead of us versus the problem. Oh, that's good. I like that point. Y'all need to find a way to communicate better in a non-adversarial way. Time to get into couples counseling and talk about this like adults. Someone said, y'all need to find a way to communicate better in a non-adversarial way. Oh, she just said the same thing that you... Okay. Sitting down and getting his thoughts out in writing wasn't even a bad idea if discussions often triggered fights. But framing it... framing it as a performance review was just a terrible... I'm so smart, aren't I? I mean, like... They don't even need to have this Reddit thread. They just need to send their questions to me. Okay. No, I'm joking. Am I the asshole? Probably. But framing it as a performance review is just a terrible idea from the start. To the point that it's not... Okay. Got the original poster, got through the thing without realizing. I don't know what some of these, like ESH, what does that mean? I don't know what that means as far as like, is that like an abbreviation? I don't know. What do you do when your boss gives you a shit performance review? That's right, you plan your exit. Oh, see? Also, who gives their spouse a performance review? Writing things out or having notes isn't a bad idea, but handing the paper to them like your unhappy boss was throwing jet fuel on the problem. Maybe consider couples counseling or something. Edit, the wife won't do counseling and the mother-in-law F's with crap. What? Someone said, it's not the mother-in-law. He was referring to his wife still. From his comment, any punishment I give to the youngest, no matter the reason. Okay, so I don't understand. So apparently the wife won't do counseling. Well, I mean, that I think that maybe there's some decisions that you need to make. You know? Parenting is a job. Parenting is a career. Parenting is not just, I'm going to, like, fight over this and stay in an unhealthy situation for my kids. I mean, if you really have that much concern about these kids, future and what they're doing and things like that, I mean, you're talking about our future generation, right? Like, I don't know. My husband stood right there in that doorway. He said, we're either going to go to marriage counseling or we're going to get divorced. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not suggesting that other people do that, but if you feel like you're at a point where you don't know what else to do other than write a performance review because your wife won't listen to you, maybe have that conversation my husband had with me. It greatly improved our marriage. And I'm not ashamed to get on camera and say that, because I didn't want to go to marriage counseling. So he had to lay it out on the line. And I've talked about that in multiple videos. So, That was the moment for us. I think we're too afraid to say that sometimes, right? Like, maybe this just isn't working and you need to go find somewhere else. And if she's not willing to go to marriage counseling, then what she's telling you is that she's not invested in your marriage. People ask me this all the time. They're like, well, I really want to go to marriage counseling, but my partner won't go to marriage counseling with me, okay? And I always suggest, because I'm kind of like, I guess I would be like into soft parenting, I don't know. But I'm always kind of like, well, if they don't want to go, you go first, maybe they'll join you later. Well, if they don't want to go, what they're saying to you is, they're not invested in the relationship. I think if you're at the point where you feel like you're looking at two different options, okay? We either need to go to marriage counseling to save our marriage or divorce, and your partner is not willing to go to marriage counseling, what they're saying is they're opting for divorce. I think people need to listen to that, okay? Like, that's not a simple conversation. When my husband stood right over there and said to me, we have tried to have these conversations on our own and we're not getting anywhere. Like, we either need to go to marriage counseling or we're going to get divorced. Like, that hit me, right? In that moment. I'm grateful that he said that. I'm forever grateful that he said that. And our relationship today is 100 times better than it was 7 or 8 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, or 10 years ago, you know, whatever. Our relationship is so much better now. And I don't know, but like, when you're at that point where you're writing somebody a performance review and everybody's recommending to you to go to marriage counseling, if she's not willing to go to marriage counseling, what she's saying is she's not invested in the marriage. Or she's afraid of going to marriage counseling because she's afraid of what will come out. She'll be told that she's like in the wrong. But that's not what marriage counseling is about. Marriage counseling is not about telling somebody that they're wrong and somebody's right. Marriage counseling is about fixing the problems, all right? It's about working through the issues, learning better ways to communicate, things like that. So, I don't know. What chores does a 6-year-old have that were given to the teens? I think that's a good question. Do you think fairness is treating a 6-year-old exactly the same as a teenager when it comes to punishments? No, absolutely not. You say your wife is showing favoritism to the 6-year-old. Do you think maybe she feels like you are showing favoritism to the teens, since it seems like, oh, different point of view. That's interesting. Somebody said, understandable. I'll give you this example. Around Christmas, the kid's bathroom toilet wouldn't go down. Is this the... Oh, this is the original poster. He's commenting on this. Okay, so this is going to get good. I thought I was about to cut off this video. I'm glad I got to this. Understandable. I'll give you an example. Around Christmas, the kid's bathroom toilet wouldn't go down. We had to call in a plumber. He found someone had flushed a soap bottle, which got stuck down in the pipe. I asked the 6-year-old. I didn't do that. She then proceeds to pin it on the 12-year-old. Wife goes directly to the teens, screaming at them to come clean. First of all, instead of maybe spending so much time on the Reddit, is this fake? Instead of spending so much time taking your issues to the Reddit, maybe call up a marriage counselor is what I would recommend. Both of them promised it was not them. She grounds them, took away their electronics, assigned them more chores to pay for the plumber costs, and forbids them from having any friends over. I thought it was excessive punishment. We had no proof who actually did it. I just brushed it off to my wife that it was probably an accident. Maybe the bottle fell off the counter and landed in the toilet. Lo and behold, a week later, I find the 6-year-old trying to flush 3 tennis balls. My wife says, well, she probably got the idea from the teens. Girl, come on now. Wake up to your 6-year-old. She completely refused to eat. First of all, that 6-year-old, you're painting a picture of her like that movie. Did y'all see that movie back in the Bad Seed? She's flushing shit down your toilet, clogging things. You need to get a hold of that girl, okay? She needs to be in some therapy too. There's something going on in this house that they're not talking about. This 6-year-old is acting out all over the place. The teens are constantly being, I mean, if I was that teenager, I would be like Emancipation Station, okay? I mean, these teens are constantly getting in trouble for shit that the 6-year-old did, which means that they're going to hate her for the rest of their life, not just the mom. Okay? There is something going on in this house that nobody is talking about. That's what I think. What's the secret in the house? Like this pissed me off. We had, they're bringing Chick-fil-A. Okay, other things are small in nature, but still frustrating. Like leaving empty containers around the house. 6-year-old will blame the teens. Wet towel left on furniture. Teens. Spit juice all over the kitchen floor. Teens. Basically anything and everything. She will not take responsibility even if you have evidence it was absolutely her. Okay, like you really do not like your daughter, do you? Like this pissed me off. He says, we had Chick-fil-A for dinner the other night. Well, that was your first problem. A wrapper and a cup was left on the side table. Next morning, wife asked, who did it belong to? I think the wife is the one doing it. I think she's spitting on the floor. I think she's flushing shit down the toilet. I think the truth is that it's the wife and the 6-year-old are flushing shit down the toilet. Not appropriate shit, but like bottles and tennis balls and things like that. I think You know, but did you ever hear about gone fishing in prison? Do you guys know about this? Gone fishing in jail? Okay, it's where you take a paper clip, which you're not supposed to have in jail anyway, and you take like string that you get off like a jacket or whatever, and you put it on there, and then you like flush it, and then you pull it, and it like F's up the toilets. Okay, like that was a trick that people used to do back in like juvie and jail back in the day. Okay, but anyway, I think it's the mother and the 6-year-old. I think the mother is so bored with her marriage that she is using the 6-year-old to do all this shit. I think she is. Okay. So a wrapper and a cup was left on the side table. Next morning, wife asks, who did it belong to? No one answers, but 6-year-old says, not mine. I think the 13-year-old left it there. Wife starts belittling her how she's not a child anymore and needs to pick up after herself. Kid gets up, tosses it in the trash while saying, this was not mine. Later, I tossed something in the trash and noticed the cup had a label on it and said lemonade. 6-year-old was the only one who had lemonade. I showed it to my wife. She argues it might not be the same cup that was on the table. Okay. Like what? I would straight up get divorced. Okay, I'm sorry, I just would. The 13-year-old, and I know that probably pissed a bunch of people off, but I don't care. If you're not willing to go to marriage counseling, y'all are fighting over lemonade cups from Chick-fil-A. It's over. 13-year-old had just put, I'm just gonna say it how I'm gonna say it. Y'all ever fucking? Because how are you fucking if you're fighting all the time, okay? The 6-year-old chores consists of morning feedings for their dog and watching him outside before going to school. I would never trust this child with a dog, okay? At all. Watching this dog. I mean, have you ever watched that movie, The Bad Seed? 4 days a week, she loads the dishwasher after dinner. Once a week, she's to sweep off the patio. I think those are kind of like heavy chores for a 6-year-old, honestly. Then little other around the house to tidy up. What does the mom do? Her other chores are hygiene stuff. There's a lot, well, hygiene, I mean, yeah, okay. There's a lot of time, though. This is highly disturbing. Your 6-year-old is clearly the golden child. This happens far too often. Your wife sees her as the only real child. Someone says your wife is the bio mom of both daughters and the bio aunt of the niece. If anything, you'd expect the original poster to favor the youngest, who's actually his only bio, right? Thank God he's standing up for his niece and stepdaughter. True. Someone says, fuck all these comments. If you called it letter rather than a performance review, it would... Okay, time to step up and give your wife an ultimatum. If either she goes to therapy with you or you start to protect your older daughters. I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that statement. Okay. The teens are old enough that they would be asked which parent... Sister Wives, as kids are like raising the younger kids. Y'all need to watch Sister Wives. That'll solve all your problems. Okay, the problem here is not the youngest. 6-year-olds are just starting to have their brain function. Okay, we're going to get into that whole development stuff conversation. Oh, yeah, everybody wanted to get into that. I was ready to call you an asshole, but I can't. I think you acted in desperation because you see your wife favoring the 6-year-old at the expense of the teens. But did it have to be a performance review? Could you have just written a heartfelt letter? Exactly. Does he respond to this one? No. He doesn't respond to these, but he sure does respond to the ones where he wants to give facts about Chick-fil-A. Okay. What is an NTA? Is that an update? I'm so confused with these. I'm gonna have to learn about. Can somebody in the comment sections let me know what the abbreviations mean? Writing down criticisms in a letter format is often the best way to criticize someone. Okay. Well, the best way to criticize someone is actually to put it in a compliment sandwich, which I think is total bullshit. But do you remember when Gabby Hanna said that years ago? Okay, compliment sandwich. A compliment sandwich is like, I really love you so much, and I think that you're such a good parent, but you do a shitty job at parenting, and I just want to give you that critique. But I really think you should keep on trying because I've seen some great parenting from you. Fuck that compliment sandwich. Okay. Okay, because your wife should listen to the teens more, but more for you, the performance review. Okay, so everybody's saying the same thing about the performance review. This was a stupid idea. I'm not saying your wife is innocent here, but come on, she's a grown adult. She wasn't going to respond well to another grown adult giving her a performance review. You're not even on the same page as parents. Of course, chaos is ensuing. Maybe you saw the performance review as a desperate attempt. That's to call it the performance review. It almost makes me think it's not true. Your title made me laugh. How else did you expect that to go besides her throwing it at your face? Exactly. I would have done the same thing. I was said, okay, well, as your performance review, go to the table over there in your desk and schoolroom and maybe try again with your letter. Okay, we're going to maybe not call it a performance review. Okay. Oh, NTA means not the asshole. Oh my God, I just figured it out. Okay, original poster. You are not the asshole. You are, however, married to the asshole. Okay. I suggest 1, therapy for you. 2, therapy for your niece and stepdaughter. 3, therapy for everybody. It doesn't say that, but they all need therapy. 3, every time your wife undermines your punishment for your youngest, do the same to her with the oldest. Oh, no. When she punishes them, tell them, no, we aren't going to do that unless it is warranted. And no, that's playing games in a marriage. You don't want to do that. Someone said, starting with putting them back in music lessons. Seriously, who takes away education development as a punishment? Those kids are probably smoking pot up in the bedroom. You know, watching Love Island. They're probably so happy. They're probably like, oh my God, I'm so happy that we're going to fucking play piano today, you know? No, 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 no. They're probably like, get me out of this house. I can't wait till I'm 18. They probably already planned they're going to get their own apartment, you know? And they're just going to sit there and they're going to play music and wear their Jenko jeans. Did you hear that those Jenko jeans are coming back? Anyway, does that make me the asshole to say that I hated those Jenko jeans? I hated them then, and I hate them now. I think they're ugly, those Jenko jeans. And I saw this thing and it said the Jenko jeans are bigger than they were before. And I thought, oh my God, how could they have gotten any bigger? But anyway, do you think he's an asshole? I think he's an asshole for calling it a performance review, okay? But I don't think he's an asshole for the rest of it. I would be frustrated too, but I feel like there's so much to this picture that we're not seeing, okay? First of all, actually, I kind of would like to see a picture of the house and everybody involved. Like, I feel like that would like make more sense to me. But I do feel like this is kind of like an episode of a reality show, and I really do kind of like love this AITA stuff. So anyway, let me know in the comment section below, am I the asshole? I mean, we already know that I am, right? But do you think he's the asshole or not? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you want me to do more of these, put it in the comment section below, and I will do like funnier ones, but I also pick newer ones too. And go follow Heather Mac Reacts. I'm going to link her channel in the description box above. And Heather, thank you so much for inspiring me to do these. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.